Have you ever had, a really big dream, a major ambition, but then found yourself just frozen, paralyzed by the idea of actually going for it?
It happens all the time.
Yeah. So today, we're digging into this idea, this fear of change, and we're doing it through a really interesting character from Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist.
Ah, the crystal merchant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to sort of unpack why he's so stuck. We'll pull in some psychology, a bit of philosophy, even modern advice, all to help you maybe navigate your own fears around change.
He's such a powerful example, isn't he? A real cautionary tale. You meet him as Santiago's employer. Seems kind enough. But his shot.
Oh, it's completely neglected.
Right, and it's a perfect mirror for his life, really. Unfulfilled.
And the core of it is that dream, the pilgrimage to Mecca. It's this huge thing for him, central to his faith.
Lifelong dream.
But he just won't go. And his reason is, well, it's quite something. He thinks if he actually achieves it, he'll have nothing left to live for.
Which sounds profound, but you have to wonder what's really going on underneath that.
Psychologically, what is happening there? It feels like more than just simple procrastination.
Oh, definitely. There's actually a term for it, metathesiophobia. It's basically an intense, quite irrational fear of change. And for the merchant, his comfort zone, the shop, the routine, it's familiar, it's safe.
But it's become a prison, built by that fear.
Exactly. It's like, Isaac Newton's first law. An object at rest stays at rest. It applies to people, too. Without some push, some force, you just stay put.
Okay, so that's the big picture fear. But what about the specifics? What are those sort of invisible chains keeping him there? You mentioned behavioral economists, Tversky and Kahneman.
Right. They identified a couple of really powerful biases. First, their status quo bias. We just inherently prefer things to stay the same. It feels safer.
We resist change almost automatically.
Yeah. And then there's loss aversion. This one's huge. Basically, the pain of losing something feels way stronger, like twice as strong, as the pleasure of gaining something. Exactly. That potential loss feels much, much heavier than the potential joy or fulfillment of actually reaching Mecca.
And his use of Maktub, it is written, how does that fit in?
Well, it becomes this sort of convenient excuse, doesn't it? Almost a philosophical shield. It lets him off the hook. If it's all written, then he doesn't have to take the risk, the responsibility. It justifies the inaction.
It really makes you think, how often do we do that? Have our own Mecca that we keep putting off with some convenient reason. So, okay, psychologically, he's stuck. But what about the deeper cost? Philosophically speaking, you mentioned Viktor Frankl earlier.
Yes, Frankl's work, especially Men's Search for Meaning, offers such a crucial perspective here. He argues that meaning, real purpose, isn't just found at the destination.
It's not just about getting to Mecca.
No, it's forged in the struggle, in the process itself. That's the little tap purpose. The merchant, by refusing the journey, is actually missing out on the very meaning he seems to crave.
He's looking for meaning after the dream, but the meaning was in the pursuit.
Precisely. And, the Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, they warned about this too, the softening effects of comfort. They believed resilience, strength, it comes from facing adversity, not avoiding it.
And Kierkegaard, he had a pretty stark take too, right?
He did. Kierkegaard basically said not to dare is to lose oneself. Choosing inaction, refusing that leap of faith, it's an existential failure. It leads to an inauthentic life, lived out of fear rather than potential.
Wow. Not to dare is to lose oneself. That hits hard. And it doesn't just apply to fictional characters, does it? This whole struggle feels very relevant today, especially with all the talk about following your passion.
Oh, absolutely. That advice, follow your passion, it sounds great, but it can be tricky. Research actually shows it can sometimes lead to burnout. Often it's the other way around.
You mean mastery leads to passion?
Yeah, getting good at something, building competence, that's often what sparks the passion, rather than chasing some elusive feeling from the start.
So it's about finding a balance, maybe, between ambition and security?
I think so. Look, you have these amazing stories, right? Vera Wang starts designing at 40. Jeff Bezos leaves a stable job to start Amazon. Inspiring.
But there are also other stories.
Exactly. There are also people who chase a dream and end up in really difficult financial situations, real nightmares. So prioritizing security, having a stable base, that can be a totally valid choice. Maybe it even enables you to pursue passions more safely.
So it's not necessarily about ditching everything for one big dream. It could be about cultivating curiosity, finding where your strengths meet what the world actually needs.
That seems like a much more grounded approach. Less pressure, maybe more sustainable.
So when we look back at the Crystal Merchant, the real tragedy isn't that he didn't get to Mecca.
No. The tragedy is that he didn't even dare to try. He didn't take the first step on the path.
A life lived avoiding loss.
Well, you've already lost something essential, haven't you?
We've lost the possibility, the growth, the meaning found in the striving. His fate is a stark reminder. Inaction, fueled by fear, is its own kind of prison.
So maybe the question for you listening is, what's your pilgrimage? What dream, big or small, are you holding back from? And forget the giant leap for a second. What's one small, manageable step you could take, maybe even this week, just to start moving, to explore the journey itself?
Welcome to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're tackling a really big question many of us grapple with, maybe secretly. Can you really go after a huge ambition, that personal legend, like Paulo Coelho calls it?
Yeah.
And also have, profound love? Or does one always have to give?
It's a classic dilemma, isn't it? We're driving into Coelho's The Alchemist, of course, but also pulling in some psychological research, too.
Right.
And our mission, really, is to look closely at Santiago's time at the Oasis.
That pivotal moment.
Exactly. To see how his love for Fatima isn't actually a roadblock, but more like, a guiding force for his destiny. Transformative, even.
Yeah, the Oasis, Al Fayum.
Yeah.
It's more than just a rest stop, isn't it? It feels like a real spiritual test.
Definitely.
It's where that lure of comfort, of immediate happiness really clashes with the hard journey towards a bigger purpose, a crossroads.
Absolutely.
But then things get really interesting at the well.
Ah, yes. Wow.
Santiago sees Fatima, and it's not just like, oh, she's pretty. The book describes it as a huge spiritual moment.
A revelation.
He feels, and I'm quoting here, the soul of the world surged within him.
Wow.
And he knows she's an omen he had been awaiting. Instantly, he gets it. The most important part of the language that all the world spoke.
Which was?
It was love. Simple as that.
And what's fascinating is how this connects straight away to Maktub.
Right.
It's written.
Yeah.
Their meeting feels preordained. Yeah. Part of his destiny.
Definitely.
And this is crucial, it's Santiago's choice, his free will to see it,
Right.
to act on that feeling.
Okay.
Maktub is like the potential.
Right.
It's on us to grab it.
Right, you have to recognize it and
Yeah.
step up. Okay, so let's unpack this conflict he feels, because the alchemist steps in.
He does. Yeah.
And he gives Santiago this pretty chilling prophecy, actually. Very instructive, though.
Very. He basically says, look, if you stay here, ditch the legend.
Yeah.
Sure, love will be great at first, for a year maybe, but then, he warns, regret will creep in. Year 3, Fatima will feel like she's the reason you gave up.
Ooh, that's tough.
And by year 4, the omens stop. You're just left with regret, quietly.
Wow. That's a powerful warning. It kind of flies in the face of love means sacrifice, doesn't it?
It does. And it forces the question, what is this pure matter love the alchemist talks about?
Yeah, what is that?
He uses alchemy as a metaphor, right? True love. If what one finds is made of pure matter, it will never spoil. And one can always come back.
So a love that makes you give up your core purpose. That's not pure matter.
Exactly. That's maybe more like attachment, codependency even. Psychological research actually talks about this unmitigated communion.
What's that?
It's when you consistently put someone else's needs way ahead of your own, sacrificing your own well-being or goals. It often breeds resentment down the line. Not sustainable, not pure.
Okay, so if that's the warning, how does Fatima fit the ideal? How is she pure matter love?
Well, she really embodies this love without ownership idea.
Right.
The book paints her as, stoic, strong, a desert woman. And crucially, she tells him to go.
She encourages him.
Yes, pursue your legend.
Yeah, wait.
Oh, wait, she says. It reminds you of philosophical ideas like agape, that's selfless love, or philia, deep friendship and mutual respect. There's that analogy, too, the desert birds in the circle.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
The idea is the center of the circle is their bond, strong and steady. But the circumference, that's their individual lives free to expand. She's his anchor, but she doesn't tie him down. She actually helps him grow what psychologists might call relational self-expansion.
So she helps him become more himself.
Precisely, through their connection.
We hear so much today about the ambition gap. Usually it's about careers, maybe gender disparity.
Right.
And this underlying idea that, serious ambition and serious love just don't mix. But The Alchemist seems to totally refute that.
It really does. And maybe that ambition gap isn't just professional. Maybe it's about a lack of shared vision in a relationship.
Ah, interesting.
Fatima doesn't just support Santiago's quest. She makes it part of her story. her destiny too.
So they share the vision.
Exactly. And the alchemist's warning. It shows love only becomes a problem when it's about fear, about holding on too tight, possessiveness.
Right.
But a relationship built on support and shared purpose,
Yeah.
that can actually boost you.
Hmm.
Think of Marie and Pierre Curie.
Yeah, great example.
Or even, Barack and Michelle Obama. Shared goals, amplifying what each could do.
So wrapping this up, Santiago's time at the Oasis, his love for Fatima, it teaches us that, well, maybe it's not love or purpose. Maybe true love is part of the purpose, an essential ingredient in fulfilling your personal legend, a force that transforms you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It offers a different way for you, the listener, the seeker, to think about it. Love isn't the end point you sacrifice everything for.
So it's a compass.
It's the compass.
Yeah.
Keeping you true on the journey. It supports you, challenges you, pushes you to be better. Not instead of your goals, but because of them.
So, the final thought for you to ponder, what really stands out to you about this idea? Could seeing love as this kind of guiding, empowering force actually unlock your potential? Could it lead to, well, extraordinary things? We've all heard it, right? Follow your heart. Sounds nice. Maybe a bit fluffy.
Yeah, definitely. But is it just, a sweet saying? Or is there something more profound going on?
Exactly. So today, we're doing a deep dive into Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. We want to unpack what listening to your heart really means in that context.
Because the novel presents the heart not just as emotions, but as this really precise internal compass.
A compass.
Yeah, tuned into what Coelho calls the soul of the world, like the frequency of the universe itself.
Wow. Okay. And the core message from the book is?
It's that line, remember that wherever your heart is, there you will find your treasure.
Right. So our mission today is to explore if there's real logic behind that. We'll look at philosophy, psychology, even science.
And a bit of history, too,
Yeah.
to see if it holds up.
Let's start with the philosophy. You mentioned the soul of the world. That sounds kind of familiar.
It does, yeah. It really echoes Plato's idea of the anima mundi, the world soul, from his work, Timaeus.
Okay, refresh my memory on anima mundi.
Plato basically saw the whole universe as one living, intelligent being. And our individual souls, they're made of the same, divine stuff. We're interconnected.
So because we're connected, our hearts kind of know things already.
That's the link to Plato's theory of anamnesis. Knowledge isn't learning new things. It's remembering what the soul already knows because it came from that world soul.
Remembering, interesting. How does that connect with, say, psychology? Is there a modern parallel?
Well, Carl Jung provides a fascinating bridge. He saw alchemy itself as a metaphor for psychological transformation.
Individuation, right? Becoming your true self.
Exactly. And he linked that soul of the world idea to his concept of the collective unconscious.
That deep layer we all share.
Right. So the voice of the heart, in Jung's view, is like the wisdom of your deeper self, guiding you towards wholeness, towards your personal legend, as Coelho calls it.
Okay, so we have ancient philosophy, depth psychology, but what about modern science? Does intuition, this heart wisdom, show up in research?
It does, actually. Intuition is often described now as very rapid, non-conscious pattern recognition. Daniel Kahneman's System 1 thinking. Super fast processing.
Like your brain working behind the scenes.
Yeah. And get this, places like HeartMath Institute have research suggesting the heart's own perceptual system can sometimes register emotional stimuli before the brain consciously does.
The heart gets there first. Wow. That puts that Einstein quote in perspective.
Which one?
The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. But we've forgotten the gift.
Ah, yes. A powerful reminder. But, the heart isn't always right. The alchemist says it can be treacherous. How do you tell true intuition from just fear or wishful thinking?
Good question. That's tricky.
It is. And that's where Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence, or EQ, comes in. Self-awareness, self-management, these skills are key.
So EQ helps you filter the signals.
Pretty much. It helps you distinguish that quiet, calm, intuitive knowing from the loud static of fear or ego. Remember the alchemist's advice to Santiago?
Oh, remind me.
Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. That helps you listen past the fear.
Okay, that makes sense. And we see people in history who seem to have mastered this, right?
Absolutely. Think of Steve Jobs. He talked constantly about following heart and intuition. That calligraphy class he took seemed random.
But it led to the Max fonts.
Exactly. Or Einstein attributing breakthroughs like general relativity partly to A leap in consciousness, not just logic.
And wasn't there a business leader?
Lynn Tilton, yeah. The turnaround queen.
Yeah.
She spoke about a powerful dream guiding her whole mission to save companies and jobs. Their intuition was tied to their purpose.
But still, that worry about the heart being fallible or confusing intuition with anxiety. How do we balance heart and head?
It's not really a competition, it's more like a partnership. Intuition might give you the spark, the hypothesis.
And reason tests it, plans it out.
Precisely. Reason is the faithful servant that helps you check, refine, and act on the intuitive gift. The mystical language in the book. It's like poetry pointing to real psychological truths. It's about making it work for you.
So wrapping this up, we've seen this thread run from Plato through Jung to modern science and real-world examples. Listening to your heart isn't simple.
No, it's a real discipline. It takes humility to accept we're connected, courage to look within, EQ to discern the signals.
And reason to act wisely.
Right. Santiago's treasure wasn't just the gold coins. It was the transformation he went through by learning to listen. He became his own alchemist.
So the final thought for you, the listener, what personal legend is waiting for you? What gold could you create from your own life's challenges if you truly learn to tune into that inner compass?
And the book suggests when you do that, you're not just finding your treasure. You're actually helping nourish the soul of the world itself, something to think about.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've got our usual stack here, articles, research, notes, and today we're really plunging into something fascinating from The Alchemist.
Yeah, this whole idea of letting go of the known and trusting the journey.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, why is it so incredibly hard sometimes? You know, to step outside that comfort zone even when you feel that pull towards something more.
It's such a universal feeling, that tension between wanting safety and, well, needing to grow.
So that's our mission today, right? To kind of unpack why we cling so hard to certainty.
Right. We'll look at the psychology, the philosophy behind it, and really redefine what a leap of faith actually means. Because, spoiler, it's not about being reckless.
Okay.
And we'll give you some, actual steps you can maybe use.
Good. So let's start with the comfort zone. It sounds comfortable, right? Sources call it an anxiety-neutral condition.
Sounds pretty good on paper.
But what's the catch? Stagnation, basically. It's apparently a place where nothing ever grows.
And the root of that is, well, it's deep. It's this primal thing researchers call intolerance of uncertainty. A really ancient survival instinct.
Survival? How so?
Think about our ancestors, right? Uncertainty could literally mean danger. Saber-toothed tiger behind that bush, maybe. Better to stick with the known.
Ah, okay. But now,
that same wiring can become like an internal prison. It stops us from actually living fully, from taking chances that are essential for growth.
and that connects to Maslow's hierarchy, doesn't it? That pyramid of needs.
Absolutely. The comfort zone, it takes care of the bottom levels, basic physiological stuff, safety. You feel secure?
Like Santiago, the shepherd in the book. He was safe, had his routine.
Exactly. But staying there, purely in that safety zone, prevents you from climbing higher towards things like self-actualization, growth needs. Santiago was stuck, really, until he dared to listen to that dream.
And there's a philosophical angle, too. You mentioned Sartre.
Yeah, existentialism. Sartre's idea of existence precedes essence. Basically, you aren't born with a pre-written script. You create your meaning, your essence, through your choices.
So staying put in the comfort zone
Can feel like living an inauthentic existence. Letting your routine, or maybe other people's expectations, write your story for you. Santiago deciding to leave to follow his personal legend. That's a huge existential act. He's taking authorship.
Okay, but let's address the big question. Letting go, taking a leap, doesn't that just sound reckless? Is that what we're advocating?
But that's a super common misunderstanding, and it's really important to clear up. No, it's not about recklessness. It's actually a deliberate, courageous decision. But it comes from a different way of thinking.
How so?
It starts by facing what some call the illusion of control. We think we can manage everything, predict everything, and when we realize we can't, we often catastrophize.
Meaning we jump to the worst possible outcome.
Exactly, and that paralyzes us. Instead, the idea is to see that gap, the knowledge-action gap, not as a void, but as a fertile space. Room for creativity, for something new to emerge.
So it's more like calculated courage, not just throwing caution to the wind.
Precisely. Prudence is key. And prudence isn't just timidity. It's about governing yourself using reason. It often involves careful planning, doing your research, seeking counsel. It's thoughtful.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it connects to psychological concepts like Snyder's hope theory. Hope isn't just wishful thinking, it's something you can cultivate.
How do you cultivate hope?
By setting achievable goals, figuring out multiple ways to get there pathways, and believing in your own ability to act, which is called agency thinking.
So Tatago's journey, it wasn't one giant blind leap.
Not at all. It was a series of smaller, calculated steps. Talking to the king, deciding to work for the crystal merchant, learning the language of the desert. Each step involves risk, yes, but also thought and action.
What's the difference, then, between that prudent leap and a reckless one?
Big difference. Prudent leaps are usually motivated by growth, by purpose. They often involve preparation, maybe a side hustle, saving money, and they're guided by a growth mindset, leading to clarity about who you are.
And reckless leaps.
Often driven by a desire to escape something. They lack foresight, planning, and the result. Often feeling, broke, isolated, maybe miserable. Totally different outcome.
This whole process, letting go of the known, it feels almost archetypal, like a universal story.
It absolutely is. Joseph Campbell's hero's journey lays it out perfectly. You have the ordinary world, then the call to adventure. Santiago hears the call through his dream.
And then there's the refusal of the call, right, where the hero hesitates.
Yes, and Campbell warns about that. Refusing the call, staying safe, it converts the adventure into its negative. You missed the whole point. Stepping into the unknown is part of the human transformation blueprint.
You see this pattern in real life, too, not just stories.
Definitely. Think of people like Marie Curie pushing through unbelievable obstacles for science. Or George Washington Carver rising above the horrors of slavery to become this incredible innovator. Their journeys weren't reckless. They were fueled by purpose and resilience.
I love that metaphor. A ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what a ship is built for.
Exactly. Or the idea of building the bridge as you walk on it, trusting that you'll figure it out even without the full blueprint. It's about taking that first crucial step.
So bringing this home for everyone listening, how can you actually apply this?
Okay, 3 practical things maybe to try. First, reclaim your authorship. Make a quick list, maybe, of things holding you back from a goal you have. Then pick just one thing you could consciously decide to let go of today.
Reclaiming authorship. I like that. What's second?
Take a small risk you'd normally avoid, like try a food you think you hate, or maybe initiate a conversation that feels a bit difficult. These are like micro ordeals. They build up your self-efficacy, your belief that you can handle things.
Little tests. Okay.
Yeah.
And third?
Just remind yourself. Comfort and growth rarely hang out together. See that feeling of discomfort not as a stop sign, but maybe as a signpost, a powerful indicator you're actually moving, you're stretching, you're on the right track.
Yeah, reframing discomfort. That's huge. Think about people who made big shifts. Jeff Koons leaving Wall Street for art, Grandma Moses starting painting late in life.
Right, often with planning, like side hustles or saving, calculated leaps.
So the final thought for you listening is, what's one small, calculated act of courage you could take, maybe even today? What could be the first plank in building your bridge towards a future that feels more purposeful? What really stands out to you from all this? Welcome to the deep dive. We jump into big ideas so you can get informed quickly. Today, we're looking at something fascinating from Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. It's the Maktub principle. Our mission really is to explore this ancient Arabic phrase, "it is written," and what it means for things like fate, free will, and how you navigate your own life. Okay, so let's unpack this. Maktub, the literal translation is "it is written." Pretty straightforward, right? But when you look at the Arabic root, our sources show it's actually much more dynamic. It links to words meaning power or measuring out, even preparing, which suggests less of a static endpoint and more of maybe a blueprint, something that unfolds actively.
Right. And what's really interesting is how Coelho plays with this. He turns it into something we could maybe call dynamic compatibilism.
Dynamic compatibilism,
meaning that, fate and free will are sort of operating together. Your destiny might be written in a sense, but it absolutely requires you to chase it. It needs your choices, your effort, your resilience. And that's quite different from, say, the Greek idea of fate. Think of Oedipus, totally inescapable, right? Everything he does just fulfills the prophecy.
Right, no escape there.
Or even if you look at the Islamic concept of al-Qadar, which is quite nuanced. It involves divine knowledge, but doesn't remove human responsibility to act. Coelho's Maktub feels much more focused on the personal journey, the one you actively take.
That does shift the focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So here's where it gets really interesting for me. If destiny is written, how do we square that with what Coelho calls the world's greatest lie? The idea that at some point we just lose control over our lives seems like they clash.
That's a really important question.
Right.
I think the greatest lie represents a kind of passive fatalism. Think about the crystal merchant in the book. He's stuck, right? Paralyzed by fear.
Yeah, he doesn't want to risk anything.
Exactly. He completely misses the flow of his own potential, his Maktub, because he chooses stagnation. But when Santiago, the protagonist, invokes Maktub, it's different. It's an act of alignment. It works almost like a psychological tool. It helps him let go of anxiety, trust the journey, and keep moving forward even when things are uncertain.
So it's not about giving up control.
No, quite the opposite. It's about leaning in, engaging with what's happening.
Okay, and what about the omens he sees? How do those fit in? Are they just signs telling you what to do? Is there a danger of just waiting around for them?
Well, Coelho presents them more as the universe kind of communicating, confirming you're on the right track. Little nudges, signs that reinforce you're in sync with your personal legend, as he calls it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about the good signs. The setbacks are crucial, too. They're not really roadblocks. They're more like data points, essential parts of the process.
Data points, I like that.
Yeah. Think about someone like Bill Gates. His first company, Trefo Data, it failed. But that failure gave him vital experience for Microsoft. Or J.K. Rowling facing poverty, getting rejected, 27 times for Harry Potter.
Wow, yeah.
These weren't detours from their written path. They were necessary steps, building blocks. They had to engage with the difficulties, learn from them, and that transformed them. That was part of their Maktub unfolding.
Okay, so putting it all together, what's the bigger picture? Because, The Alchemist does get criticized. Some say it's a bit too simple, like basic self-help. Or maybe promotes a kind of naive individualism, especially, Santiago leaving Fatima to chase his dream.
And those are fair points to raise,
Yeah.
but I think it helps to remember the book frames itself as a fable.
Right, a symbolic story.
Exactly. And the ending is key. Santiago finds his treasure literally back where he started, at home. That suggests the real personal legend, the true treasure, isn't the gold. It's the person he became through the journey, the transformation itself.
I see.
So Maktub in this context isn't just about destiny. It's more like a psychological framework. It helps build trust, find purpose, and reframe challenges. Choices, obstacles, they all become meaningful parts of this bigger story of growth. It's about the becoming, not just the getting.
The journey itself and who you become, that's the real prize. Makes sense. So let's leave you with this thought. How might you embrace a kind of dynamic fatalism in your own life? How could you view challenges not just as annoying roadblocks, but as, essential data points in your unique story as it unfolds? Because maybe the treasure, after all, really is the person you become along the way.
That's all for this episode of the Deep Dive Cast. Thanks for joining us. We hope you gained some valuable insights. Be sure to tune in next time for another deep dive into the world's best ideas. Until then, keep learning and growing.